Well, we mentioned them last segment. Let's talk about them more in depth. Green Bay versus Seattle. It was a let's just use the word gully washer, right? It was a terrible game for the Seahawks in every way possible. If I say the number 7 to you, does that ring a bell?
Friends episode?
No, sack total. Total. 7 sacks were taken by the Seattle Seahawks. Whether it was Geno Smith, whether it was whoever that guy was that played quarterback tonight after Geno, I don't care really who was behind center. The Seahawks offensive line was not stopping Green Bay at all. We've touched on Green Bay and how good they are and how good their defense is and what they need to do to win. I want you to tell me what is wrong and how have the Seahawks fooled us into thinking that they are a much better team than they actually are.
So that's really all I want to talk about. I'm glad we're having this conversation. The Seahawks, last year, I picked them to make a deep playoff run, picked them to go to the Super Bowl. Stupid. I regret it. Don't want to talk about it, but I'm being transparent. This year, I didn't pick them to make, or I might have picked them to squeeze in. Either way, I was on the fence. I thought they'd be good. I thought they'd improve, and they always fool me. Because this is what the Seahawks do, Ryan. They win a lot of those 12 o'clock games when you're watching it in the 4 screen or the Octo box, and you're watching it, but you're watching it alongside 7 other games. You're like, hey, they won pretty good. Geno made a couple late plays. And then they get a primetime game and they let you down. Look, I'm not a Seahawks fan. I'm not a Packers fan. Me and you, we're just NFL fans. I just wanted to see a good Sunday night football game, a battle for the NFC. I thought this was going to be a good one, and it wasn't. Literally the first drive, Packers go right down the field. Second drive, Packers go right down the field. It's 17-0, 17-7. The game was over, and at the end of the first quarter, we both knew it. And then I really got to thinking. I was like, dude, the Seahawks do this to us every time because it feels like every time they're on primetime, the matchup is like, oh, this will be good, and they lay an egg. I could have gone back to last year. This is just this year, Ryan. They've had 3 primetime games. Let's take a look at this. Week 4, they played the Lions. Oh, Seahawks Lions, week 4 in primetime. Yeah, they lost 42-29. Okay, well, they're going to get their chance. Week 6, divisional matchup against the 49ers. I think it was on Thursday night. They need this. They lose 36-24. All right, well, they get redemption right here. They 8-5. They can get their 9th win. Week 15 against the Packers, and they lose 30-13. It's not competitive. It's funny because we talk about Kirk Cousins in the past having primetime issues. This spans back to Pete Carroll and now Mike McDonald. Maybe it's a Geno issue. I don't know. But I won't be fooled again, Ryan. I'm like the Who. Every time Seahawks have a good matchup in primetime that you're like, oh, this should be a good game. This has implications. And they always let you down. They've lost all 3 of their primetime matchups. I'm just done expecting anything from Seattle. And I know Seattle fans are going to be like, you're being too harsh. Maybe. Maybe. I know the offensive line has issues. We were aware of that the preseason, but they fool us into thinking they're good. I don't know why. I think it's just because they get those wins in the 12 o'clock window, and then they get put in front of a large, multi-million audience, and they completely lay an egg. They don't even give you a competitive game.
Yeah, I agree. Seattle is definitely struggling in the primetime. So is Geno. So is just every part of Seattle, man. I think they have probably... Do you think they're out of the playoff picture completely? Do you think it's just done? Yeah,
I don't think they're going to get in because the way it's going, it looks like there's only going to be room for one team in the NFC West, just whoever wins it. There's not a wild card spot that's going to go to the NFC West. That's the problem. And they really needed this game tonight to stay ahead of the Rams because they lost this game. The Rams now lead that division. They're both tied. Perhaps the Rams fall off down the stretch, but I doubt it. Looking at these two teams, is there any doubt that the Rams are such a superior team to the Seahawks? Could you ever imagine the Seahawks going and scoring 40 against the Bills and beating them? No, because they played the Bills earlier this season and they got shellacked.
What's funny is the last game of the season for the Seahawks, they actually play at the Rams.
Okay, so that's going to be a big one depending on how the records shake out. So what's the Seahawks schedule the rest of the way?
Vikings, Bears, Rams.
So probably 2 losses. What's the Rams schedule?
So the Rams, obviously, they played the Seahawks as their last game, but before that, they'll play the Jets and the Cardinals. Much easier schedule. Actually, it's really about even if you think about it.
I don't think Rams will lose 2 of them.
Yeah.
I
and
think
the Vikings and Bears, that's probably a little bit tougher, but I don't know. It could shake up where that last game of the year is the deciding factor.
Exactly. And if so, I'll put my money on the Rams because I can't trust the Seahawks in a gotta-have-it spot. I like the coach. I like the direction they're heading. They got to figure out something at quarterback. The Geno experiment's over.
News just in, the Thursday night game is at the Bears for the Seattle Seahawks. Surely a loss.
Yeah, and absolutely. In primetime, go ahead and change that dial.
On Amazon Prime. That will be a loss. Mark our words, especially if Geno can't get healthy, man. Like, by the way, did you see the heating pad taped onto his leg?
No.
Okay, couldn't have been bigger. It was the most massive heating. It was way too big for his leg. I don't understand what was happening. They were duct taping it around his leg. I'm like, guys, it's the NFL. Like, do we not have better technology to put a heating pad on somebody's leg besides duct tape and a wool blanket? Like, that's what it was. I think it was just hot hands wrapped up in wool, duct taped around his leg. I don't know what was going on the Seattle sidelines, but obviously they don't even have their medical department up to snuff. So
they were as lost as the football team was.
I guess so. Oh, inflammation. What do I do?
The lights are too bright.
Yeah.